welcome back to the channel. It's me, Kagam. Welcome to a new dragging video. Without further ado, let's get started. Let's start off here at the Louis Vuitton Champs-Elysees store in Paris, France. Absolutely horrible. Had to wait in line for a store that wasn't at capacity. Then I waited 30 minutes to get in for someone to help me with a purchase. I was informed there was a line. Not sure why they make you wait outside. Then you go in and you still have to wait. Many employees walking by not acknowledging clients they're basically not acknowledging any customers. I don't know, guys. I just feel like it's the flagship store for Louis Vuitton. You are going to be expected to wait a little bit. So I don't know if it's like far-fetched for them to expect you to wait. Okay, so I don't know. Some of these ones, I wonder if people are being fair. Like, you are going to be expected to wait. I think especially if you don't have an appointment. The next one's the same location. Had a really bad experience at LV in Paris. They advertised that they close at 8. I got there at 7:45. Well before closing, there wasn't a line. Despite the store still being open, they refused to help me without any explanation. Their tone was really rude and unacceptable for a brand that prides itself on luxury service. I was traveling the next day and specifically planned my trip around being able to stop by only to be treated with disrespect. Girl, bye. You know the situation. We all know the situation. If you guys watch this channel, you know. Don't turn up at European stores an hour before closing. I think it's really worth noting, particularly from people who I think are from the US and Canada. I feel like the US, I think Canadian and American glamazons are used to working really long hours. Where maybe one would work overtime in a shop, it would be expected. I don't know. I think that there are some cultural differences here because I know American glamazons take less holidays than many people in the Western world. But let me tell you something. France has very, very strong worker laws about the hours that employees can work. And I think in order for it to even be held open, even beyond 5-10 minutes, like there would have to be permissions, like the employee would have to be warned that they are expected to stay beyond a certain time. There are very strong laws for employee rights in a lot of EU countries, not just France. So I think if you're from a country like the US, where like the US is known for a very strong, hard charging work culture where Americans don't take as many holidays as people from other Western nations, I don't think you should be surprised that they're like, baby, it's 7:45, like you need to go. It's 7:45, you need to get out. You know what I mean? So I think this is another one of those cultural nuances. I think that was something which I noticed, I think for our honeymoon in 2019, when we went to the States, we were really shocked by how long the working hours for shops were. We were really stunned, particularly in Times Square in New York. Like the H&M in Times Square in New York is open until like midnight. I remember being absolutely stunned. Like even in the UK, they would never open a shop until midnight. The next one is the Louis Vuitton, and by the way, just to say, that's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just to show that cultural nuance and the cultural differences. The next one is the LV boutique at the Saint-Germain-des-Prés boutique in Paris. The sales assistant was really disinterested in serving or selling. She just laid out the bags without much care, as if we're at a market, then chatted with her colleague, completely oblivious to my follow-up requests. I felt really dissatisfied. Yeah, LV SCAs in Paris are not getting fired. Like, it doesn't matter how sad you are. It doesn't matter if you're triggered about it. It doesn't matter if you're, whatever. Like, the SCA at Louis Vuitton in Paris, baby, she's not getting fired because you're not happy with her. The next one is the Louis Vuitton boutique in New Bond Street in London. I went to get my LV passport holder, you know where this is going, stamped, and the team told me they needed 5 days to get it done. I unfortunately wasn't staying in London long enough. They told me to go to Heathrow. Turns out the Heathrow store doesn't have the tools to stamp it and complained to me that this isn't the first time the New Bond Street store has sent clients there giving them false info. I'm writing this review saying it was a suggestion from the team at LV Heathrow. That's so funny. It's my understanding that airport boutiques are not actually owned by like Louis Vuitton or Hermes or whatever. So I feel like that can kind of explain why they were so quick to be like, New Bond Street are always bringing people here. Again, we have been through this, baby. I wouldn't be surprised if Louis Vuitton gets rid of the passport stamps. They do not want you to come up in the store and ask for stamps. And just to be clear, you can absolutely go and get your passport cover or passport holder stamped. Of course you can. And you shouldn't feel like you shouldn't be able to get it stamped. But I really feel like they dislike seeing people there getting their passports stamped, and they want you to get out of there. They want to get rid of you. So they were like, yeah, you're leaving. Go to Heathrow because, baby, we're never seeing you again. We're never seeing you again, so we don't care. The next one is a Louis Vuitton boutique in Edinburgh in Scotland. The staff's customer service was far from welcoming. Their behavior made us feel judged based on our appearance, which left us feeling super uncomfortable. It was clear that we were not valued as clients, and the overall experience was disappointing. As a result, we chose to shop elsewhere. Yep, again, it's Edinburgh, honey. It's capital of Scotland. It's, one of the top cities of Europe. Like, people are going to look really good when they're going luxury shopping. Again, turning up looking a raggedy mess. You can't turn up looking a mess and then you're surprised that you're treated like a mess. Sorry. The next one is the Louis Vuitton boutique in Johannesburg. This is closer to home in South Africa. This store, in fact, both this boutique and the LV store in the waterfront is where the Louis Vuitton store in Cape Town is, have really bad telephone responses. I have been calling for the past 2 days and it says that their customer care is open from 10 a.m., but that's a lie. I have to say, this is one of those cultural nuances, again, particularly with African locations, because I feel like African shops, in my experience, if you call, they don't pick up. Like, particularly if it's like a landline, and in a lot of these cases, there'll be like a landline where, they'll have a landline available that people can, pick up and stuff like that. They don't really want to pick up the phone. I think that there is this feeling, particularly with luxury shops, that people who call the telephone line are like annoying and want to ask like super irritating questions. And that like takes away from the time spent like actually selling to people who want to actually purchase. I feel like that's what they think. I'm not saying I necessarily agree with it, but I think that that is something that comes up a lot. Like they feel like the people who are coming to the boutique the people who are coming to the boutique are like the real customers, and the people who are calling are not the real clients. I think that that's something that they think. The next one is the LV store in Singapore. The essay was really impolite. We were walking around the store without an essay, and then we stopped at the men's section to look at bags. Suddenly, essay came to us and sarcastically told us to put down the bag and come to the counter. They'll give us the products, not us doing it ourselves. Meanwhile, I saw some Westerners pick items from the women's department with no issues. I was about to confirm my selection, and I was definitely willing to buy if the essay approached me politely, sharing the details of the product, which was already in my hand, but then she told me about the rule afterwards. But it felt really unpleasant, uncomfortable, like she was ordering me to put it down and to get away from the counter, like I was treated like I was a thief, like I was stealing. And then I saw a group of essays who were chit-chatting in front of the escalator, not on their phones, chit-chatting and gossiping. Yeah, I think that there are a few things about this. It is unpleasant if you see a group of people being treated differently to you. This has happened to me many times, like at the casino and stuff. And just as a quick segue to kind of prove my point about this story, a few days ago, I went to the casino alone, and I went to the one that I normally go to, and I was having a good time. I was placing my bets. I was playing roulette, single zero roulette. And then there was a gentleman who was next to me who was like a big baller. Like he was placing massive bets, like thousands of euros, thousands and thousands and thousands of euros. Like if you convert from my currency, which is the Tanzanian shilling, like he was just, our money, the Tanzanian money is red. Maybe I'll insert a picture of like the highest denomination of our money. This is our money. This is a 10,000 shilling note, which is about 4 euros. And he was just betting and betting and betting. The bets were massive. Like, they were huge bets. It was millions of shillings. Like, he must have dropped, like, 25,000 euros. Like, in our currency, it's like 50 million shillings. He must have spent that just betting. So I'm placing bets on the roulette wheel. I placed an even bet. So I bet that the number that would hit would be even, and it did. And then the player took my chips. He actually stole my chips. And in the casino, chips are actually considered money. You can't take someone else's chips. That's theft. So he actually took my bet. I saw him do it. The croupier paid everyone except me when the number came. And I was just sitting there, and she's a woman. This is the point I'm trying to make about this story. And then 2 more spins happened. I said, hey, you didn't pay me. And then the pit boss came over. They look at the screen, and then they see that the baller had taken my bet. I know, because I was sitting next to him. And then I told them, I said, why did you allow him to take my bet? And then she was like, oh, I'm sorry, it was a mistake. I'm like, I don't know if it was a mistake, because he would have just sat there with my money if I hadn't said anything. I think that what happens in a lot of situations, particularly with this story and with the story that I experienced, is when you see people being treated differently, it's very unpleasant, right? But oftentimes what happens is people are treated differently because maybe they spent more than you, maybe they have more money than you. Now, I feel like my situation is a little bit different. You can't allow a top spender to steal from other players. Now, did he do it on purpose? No, I don't think he did. But it was really funny because I was placing my bets. And at one point she asked him, hey, did you place this outside bet? I placed on an odd number for the next spin, or for another spin. And then he said, oh no, I don't place outside bets. And people who play roulette know what that means. So I was like, wow, it's hysterical that you stole my chips. The female croupier had no problem with you stealing my bet, stealing my chips. And something which I have found, again, which is like a parallel to the casino, because I think luxury shops are basically casinos at this point, to the casino and luxury shops, is the treatment that female SAs give to female clients. A lot of bad experiences I've had in luxury shops have been from female clients, female SAs. And all my experiences at the casino with female SAs have been horrible. Now, most gamblers are men, but the gambling industry has decided that they're going to be targeting women in the future. And then they did apologize to me, and they sent like a supervisor, and we talked about it. And she said it genuinely was a mistake. They were not trying to single you out. I went to another table, and there were some female croupiers giving me attitude. I was like, okay, guys, I'm cool. I don't need to gamble with you. And they were like, hey, where are you going? I was like, no. Because if you're going to, you're going to be snarky, you're going to do that nice nastiness. I can do that too. So even in that example, I then leave that table after she allowed the baller to steal my chips. And then when I finally was paid back, I left. And they were like, hey, don't leave. I was like, no, it's okay. I go to another table, female croupiers being snarky, making up fake rules at the roulette wheel that don't exist about the game. So if you don't play the game, it doesn't matter what the rules are. But they made up a rule that doesn't exist for the game. I was like, okay, cool. You're just trying to be snarky and rude. Go to another table. It's a male croupier. I'm sitting there having a good time, and then other players come because they can see me chilling, happy, and he's spinning the wheel. And I'm telling you, I swear to God, female luxury shopping SAs are tough to female clients. And in this story at the Singaporean Louis Vuitton, sometimes like the treatment is different for different people, which I'm not against, especially I think if you spend more money, I think you should be treated better. But I think it can be very unpleasant. It was really unpleasant to me to watch them allow a client, a player, because he's a big spender, they allowed him to steal the equivalent to 300 euros from another player because he's a big spender. Well, I'm sorry, that's not your money. So let me stop you right there. You're going to have to pay me back. So I think in that experience from a few days ago, and I see parallels with luxury shopping. Female croupiers are very rude to female gamblers at the casino. Very, very rude. And female luxury SAs, in my experience, if you're shopping alone and your husband isn't there or your boyfriend's not there, they're very rude as well. My experiences with female SAs have been very bad, and I've been tricked. The big HSA in Paris was a woman. She tricked me. I was also tricked by the LVCA in Johannesburg. Tricked. Now, that doesn't mean all female SAs are tough to female clients, but I do think female clients prefer to deal with male clients. And that's just been my experience. And I think that treatment that you get in the store, like from this Singapore experience where the person's looking at how someone else is being treated, I think it's really unpleasant to see someone, like she sees a group of Westerners not being told off, but she's being told off. Well, go tell them off too. Make sure you tell them off as well. So anyway, in the end, it was sorted out. another supervisor came over and apologized to me. They took my player's card because I wanted to see my spending. And only after they checked my player's card did they change their tune. And they were like, hey, we're really sorry about what happened. It's not going to happen. That's never going to happen again, I promise. And the other player genuinely wasn't trying to steal. He's just used to always taking the chips and stuff. I said, yeah, but check your croupiers and check yourself. So I think sometimes, like, again, nice nastiness, honey, baby, that's what I know how to do. Because when I was at the second roulette table, when they were getting slick with me, making up a rule that doesn't exist in the game, I said, I'm Gucci. I don't need to bet with you because the house always wins. The casino's gonna get the money anyway. So I said, let me take my wig and my chips and go to another table. They're like, no, don't leave. No. I'm leaving. Okay. So I think sometimes, like, also those nice, nasty responses in luxury shops are needed. In my experience, female luxury SAs really don't like dealing with female clients who are shopping alone. It's very rare that you get, and I know now I've said that, they're going to be Pegasus Unicorn saying, my SA is a woman, she's really nice to me. I'm not saying every single female SA is mean or rude. I'm not saying that. I'm a woman, and I think I'm very pleasant and kind to women working in shops because I know it's a tough job. But sometimes it does get exhausting when you're like, wow, like, you know, I'm being treated nicer because I'm with my husband. I remember once at the Versace boutique in Joburg, going with my husband, and I swear she like smiled at him, but she didn't smile at me. And I was like triggered about it. I remember speaking to my husband about it. I was like, I swear she like smiled at you, but she didn't smile at me. And he was like, well, say what? Say what? I mean, it is what it is. Like, women are always going to be nicer to men, you know? So I think that is also a thing. So I think when you see a group of people being treated differently, try and not take it personally. I know it's hard not to take it personally because even me, I'm like, wow, you're really treating this guy better. But I just realized that it's just the way it is, and you just have to just be cool. I kept it cool. I kept it Gucci, but I did let them know. And I'm always going to stand up for myself. So I think in luxury shops, stand up for yourself. You know, you can add some nice nastiness as well, but make sure that you stand up for yourself. Okay, let's carry on. Same location. This is the final one. Buying a luxury bag should be an experience, an exciting one. However, the SA who helped us had a very poor attitude. For instance, we inquired about the availability of new stock for an LV bag. The SA simply handed us the display piece. When we asked for assistance in inspecting the bag for any defects, the SA rolled her eyes and told us to check it ourselves. Since this is our first time making such a significant purchase, we expected better treatment. Additionally, we asked if the zipper was functioning properly. The SA aggressively opened it and closed it, which felt very disheartening. As this is the only piece left, we felt like this piece should be treated with some care. After purchasing the LV bag, we didn't receive a receipt. Yeah, I think that, you know, a lot of luxury SAs really dislike people inspecting the bits and bobs in front of them. I haven't bought like something super expensive from LV yet, but everything I have from LV has been fantastic. But I'm not someone who like inspects things. I don't look for flaws. And you know, people in like Louis Vuitton groups, I think also on the LV subreddit, there are people who post like a picture and they'll be like, can you see this crease? And the bag has no flaws in it. Or the item doesn't have a crease. The card holder is completely fine. People will be like, can you see a mark on it? I think sometimes, like, if you want to see stuff, you will see it. Like, if you want the product to be faulty, it will be faulty if you look hard enough. I think for a lot of SAs, they just kind of feel like you're being really picky and you're nitpicking because you're just trying to be annoying. I think that they also think if you're someone who inspects things, that you're more likely to come later to like try and return the item. And I think that that's something that they find really annoying. Like, I feel like they feel like you're gonna come back later to be nitpicky and annoying and be like, you see that there's this little thing, you know, that I want to return as well. You know what I mean? So tell me what you think about that one, because I feel like when you start trying to like inspect it to make sure that the item is okay or whatever, I feel like they'll be like, okay, this person's annoying. They're just trying to be irritating and they just want to nitpick and be super annoying. So tell me what you think about today's selection of dragging videos. This is part 3. I think part 4, the final one, is the Chanel, like the all Chanel luxury dragging video, which I'll put up at some point this week. I would love to know what you guys think about this one. I've been there when you see people getting treated really differently in the store. I'm not too against it in the luxury shopping instance if the person spent more than me. I think it would be very irritating if I've spent more than you, but you're getting treated better than me. That would be irritating. Yes, that would probably be annoying. But I think if the people have spent more, I don't think it's far-fetched for them to be treated better than you. You know what I mean? So tell me what you think about that one. We'd love to know about everything. Sign up for the newsletter. It's linked below. Guys, make sure that you sign up for the newsletter because the merch is launching very soon, which I'm terribly excited about. I'm so excited about it. So I don't want to say too much about it yet. Let me keep some of it to myself. But my husband's like, stop saying it. I should just drop it for you guys, and then you guys can come and pick it up. But make sure you're signed up for the newsletter. My husband said he's going to be the first one to buy his own one, so he'll be the first customer of the merch, which is so exciting. So I hope you guys support it. So make sure you stick around for that and sign up for the newsletter. There'll be lots of other bits and bobs in the newsletter. I send one newsletter a week. I'll probably send it on the weekend, if not Friday. And then also go read the blog. The blog is active. I've updated a bunch of things as well. So yeah, find me on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. You know where to find me. Thank you so much for watching. God bless you all. I'll see you in my next video. I'm out.